You've ended the relationship, maybe more than once. You've journaled about it, processed it in therapy, promised yourself never again. And then you met someone new and somehow, inexplicably, you ended up right back in the same dynamic. The same anxious texting, the same emotional withdrawal from the other side, the same push, the same pull, the same exhaustion. This is not a coincidence, and it is absolutely not a character flaw. There is a name for what's happening to you. And today, we are going to break it all the way down. Stay with me, because the last section of this video, that is where everything changes. What is the anxious-avoidant trap? Let's start with what we're actually talking about. The anxious-avoidant trap is a term used in modern psychology to describe a specific and extremely common relational cycle that forms between two people with opposing insecure attachment styles. One person has anxious attachment. They crave closeness, reassurance, and connection. They can become hypervigilant to distance, read into silence, and when they feel disconnected, they pursue. The other person has avoidant attachment. They value independence, they're uncomfortable with intense emotional intimacy, and when things get too close, they withdraw. Now here's where it gets painful. The anxious partner's pursuit triggers the avoidant partner's retreat. And the avoidant partner's retreat triggers the anxious partner's pursuit even harder. It's a loop, a cycle, a trap. Researchers call this the demand-withdraw pattern, and it is one of the most well-documented destructive cycles in relationship science. A landmark meta-analysis reviewing 73 studies and over 21,000 participants confirmed that both anxious and avoidant attachment dimensions are significantly harmful to relationship quality. Avoidant attachment was more strongly linked to decreased satisfaction and emotional disconnection, while anxious attachment was more strongly correlated with chronic conflict. What's critical to understand here is this: neither person is the villain. Both people are doing exactly what their nervous system learned to do to survive. Where does this come from? The science of attachment. To understand the trap, we have to go back, way back. In the 1950s through 1970s, British psychiatrist John Bowlby and American psychologist Bowlby Ainsworth developed what became known as attachment theory, one of the most empirically validated frameworks in all of psychology. Here's the core idea. Every human infant is born biologically wired to seek proximity to a caregiver, not just for food and shelter, but for safety, regulation, and survival. When a caregiver is consistently responsive, available, warm, and attuned, the child develops what's called a secure attachment base. They learn at a neurological level, I am safe. The world is predictable. I can reach out and someone will be there. But when caregiving is inconsistent, emotionally distant, or overwhelming, the child's brain develops a secondary strategy. Attachment researchers Mikulincer and Shaver identified these as hyperactivating strategies used by people with anxious attachment. They amplify emotional distress to keep the attachment figure engaged. In adult relationships, this looks like constant reassurance-seeking, clingy behavior, or emotional escalation. Deactivating strategies used by people with avoidant attachment. They suppress emotional needs and minimize the importance of close relationships. In adult relationships, this looks like emotional shutdown, stonewalling, or excessive self-sufficiency. Both are brilliant survival adaptations for childhood. They become traps in adulthood. Bowlby called these early survival blueprints our internal working models. Cognitive and emotional schemas that encode our expectations about self, others, and relationships. They operate mostly below conscious awareness, which is why you can know intellectually that your partner loves you and still feel absolutely terrified they're going to leave. Research confirms these patterns run deep. A 2024 paper in Nature Human Behaviour provided a detailed neurobiological account of attachment, tracing how these patterns are embedded not just psychologically, but in the very structures of the mammalian brain, from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex. Now here's the twist. And this is the part that blows most people's minds. Anxious and avoidant people find each other irresistible. The anxious person is drawn to the avoidant's independence, their air of self-sufficiency, their mystery. They interpret unavailability as depth. The avoidant person is drawn to the anxious person's warmth, their expressiveness, their desire for closeness, which feels intoxicating in the beginning, before it feels threatening. But there's something even deeper happening beneath the surface. Your nervous system recognizes familiarity. If you grew up in a home where love felt inconsistent, where you had to earn connection, or where closeness was always followed by distance, your nervous system learned to associate that tension with love itself. The hot and cold dynamic feels like home. Not healthy, mind you, but home. Neuroscience supports this. Research published in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience found that individual attachment styles modulate activity in key brain regions, including the amygdala, your brain's threat detection center, as well as areas governing emotion regulation and social cognition. In short, your attachment style isn't just a behavior pattern. It is literally encoded in how your brain processes relationship cues. A study examining dyadic patterns of attachment found that the combination of partners' attachment styles critically shapes relationship outcomes, meaning it's not just about your attachment style, but the interaction between the two nervous systems in the room. This is why the cycle feels so automatic. You're not choosing it consciously. Your nervous system is running an old, outdated program. The anatomy of the cycle. What's actually happening in real time? Let me walk you through the anatomy of this trap, what it actually looks like in a real relationship. Step 1. Initial connection. Both partners feel the chemistry. The anxious person feels seen. The avoidant person feels intrigued. Things feel exciting, hopeful, electric. Step 2. Emotional intimacy increases. As the relationship deepens, the avoidant partner begins to feel their autonomy threatened. Closeness triggers their deactivating strategies. They pull back, get busy, go emotionally quiet. Step 3. Pursuit begins. The anxious partner, wired to read abandonment signals, clocks the withdrawal immediately. Their hyperactivating system fires. Send another text, ask what's wrong, push for a conversation. Step 4. Escalation and withdrawal. The more the anxious partner pursues, the more the avoidant retreats. The more the avoidant retreats, the more the anxious partner escalates. Each partner's pain literally feeds the other's defensive response. Step 5. The repair and why it feels so good. Eventually, one partner breaks. There's a tearful reconnection, a passionate makeup. For the anxious partner, the relief of reconnection feels intoxicating. Their nervous system is finally off high alert. For the avoidant partner, the crisis has passed, closeness feels safe again. Temporarily. Step 6. Reset and repeat. This is the trap. Not because either person is bad, but because both nervous systems are responding perfectly to a script they were handed long before they ever met. Can this actually change? What the research says now. I want to be very careful here because I know this next question is burning in your chest right now. The answer, backed by research, is yes. But let me be honest with you about how. First, let's talk about a concept called earned secure attachment. Psychologists define earned security as a state in which adults who grew up with insecure attachment develop a secure attachment orientation through conscious effort and corrective relational experiences, even without a perfect childhood. A grounded theory study published in the Journal of Marital and Family Therapy interviewed adults who successfully moved from insecure to earned secure attachment. The model that emerged centered on 3 interconnected processes: metacognitive awareness, developing the ability to observe your own patterns; intrapsychic changes, doing the inner work, therapy, grief, emotional reconsolidation, interpersonal changes, experiencing new relational patterns that contradict the old blueprint. This isn't magic, it's neuroscience. Because your brain is not fixed, modern neuroscience confirms that adult brains continue forming new neural pathways, a process called neuroplasticity. The internal working models encoded in childhood can be updated through repeated, corrective experiences. The pattern you're in right now is not permanent. It is learnable, and anything learnable can be unlearned. So let's get practical. Here are 5 evidence-based strategies to interrupt the anxious-avoidant cycle, whether you're in it now or want to break it before your next relationship. Strategy 1. Name the cycle, not the person. The first and most powerful step is to externalize the pattern. Instead of, "You always pull away" or "You always suffocate me," the conversation shifts to, "We're in the cycle again." Dr. Sue Johnson, the founder of emotionally focused therapy, EFT, built her entire clinical model around this premise. EFT is one of the most empirically supported couple therapies in existence, with research demonstrating a 70 to 73% success rate in reducing relational distress. The core of EFT is that negative interaction cycles, not the people in them, are the enemy. When you and your partner can both point to the pattern as the problem, you become allies instead of opponents. Strategy 2. Regulate your nervous system first. Here's something the self-help world almost never tells you. You cannot process your attachment patterns while your nervous system is in survival mode. When you're dysregulated, heart racing, chest tight, mind spinning, your prefrontal cortex goes offline. You are literally not neurologically equipped to have the connection you're trying to have. This is where polyvagal theory, developed by Dr. Stephen Porges, becomes essential. Porges' research describes the autonomic nervous system as a hierarchical system. When you feel safe, your nervous system supports connection. When you feel threatened, it triggers fight, flight, or shutdown. Practical tools: slow your breath before difficult conversations. Ground in your body. Notice where you feel the activation. You are not required to perform connection while your body is screaming danger. Strategy 3. Decode the core fear underneath the behavior. Every pattern has a primary emotion hiding underneath it. Beneath the anxious partner's pursuit? Almost always, "I'm afraid I'm not enough. I'm afraid you'll leave me." Beneath the avoidant partner's withdrawal? Almost always, "I'm afraid of being consumed. I'm afraid of losing myself." Neither of those fears is irrational. Both are deeply human. But the behaviors they produce, pursuit and withdrawal, are mirror images of the same pain. When both partners can speak from their fear rather than their strategy, something shifts. This is the emotional truth-telling that corrective attachment experiences are built on. Strategy 4. Build a secure base, inside and out. Research is consistent. One of the most powerful pathways to earn security is through therapeutic relationships. Long-term therapy, particularly trauma-informed approaches, creates a secure relational container where old patterns can be held, examined, and rewired. Additionally, a 2025 systematic map published in Behavioral Sciences found evidence that mindfulness-based meditation interventions specifically benefit those with higher attachment anxiety and avoidance, supporting both personal and relational growth over time. Self-compassion also plays a critical role. Research found that low self-compassion is linked to both insecure attachment and interpersonal difficulties, and that cultivating self-compassion is one of the key doorways to earned security. The message: you cannot outlogic your way to secure attachment. It has to be felt in relationships with a therapist, with safe friends, and with yourself. Strategy 5. Co-regulate intentionally. Research on co-regulation, the biological process by which one nervous system influences another, shows that healthy, regulated relationships can literally rewire your stress response over time. A 2023 paper described co-regulation as operating at both biological and behavioral levels, involving mutual adaptation between partners in response to each other's physiology and behavior. This means, if you can choose relationship, romantic, platonic, or therapeutic, where the other person is genuinely regulated and safe, your nervous system will learn through repetition that closeness does not equal danger. This is how the pattern breaks, not through willpower alone, but through new experiences, repeated enough to update the old blueprint. Here's what I want to leave you with. You did not choose your attachment style. You were handed a nervous system shaped by experiences you had no control over. The anxious pursuit, the avoidant retreat, those were not failures. They were adaptations. Brilliant, necessary, survival-level adaptations. But here's what I need you to hear. What was adaptive then does not have to be your story now. The research is clear. The brain is plastic. New patterns can be built. Earned security is real. And the fact that you're watching a video like this, asking these questions, doing this work, that is already the beginning of the interruption. If this resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs it. Hit subscribe if you want more content where we bring peer-reviewed science and real healing together. And drop a comment below, which part hit you hardest. This is Childhood Decoded. Decode your childhood. Transform your future. I'll see you in the next one.